Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Pits of Motorcast. It's your host, Dave. Got special guest, Disturbed Racing, top walk-off funny car driver, Chris Marshall. How's it going, Chris?
It's very good, thanks. How are you?
I'm good. So, how was the season for you with the funny car?
Well, all in all, it was okay. We finished number 4 again in the world 2 years in a row. I was trying to move up a little bit, but that's where we ended up. It's not horrible, but yeah, always want to do better. Improve. But the last little hoorah, a few races here that when I went east, some things went okay, and then a lot of things didn't. Mechanical problems, this, that, and the other thing. Lots of little issues, but so we didn't go as many rounds as we wanted to get the points where we wanted. So, but all in all, it's pretty good.
Yeah, we can't. Fourth can't complain that much.
Yeah. No, it's all right. I'm lucky I get to do it. At all. So, it's an honor to get to do it.
And now you go to the off season and work on the funny car and get it ready for next season, huh?
Yeah. Off season now. Basically, just kind of concentrate on work right this second. Get back to the shop. I had been away from the shop for about 8 weeks, so. And I got this auto body and paint business, and pretty much, I do a lot of it. It's a small business, just 2 employees. So I'm doing a lot of it down here, and when I'm away, it's not making any money. So, it's making less anyhow. So yeah, pretty much just concentrating on work. I got the car tore down to get all the stuff sent in for recertification to be prepared for next year, because you got to get that stuff in right away so that they can get to it and get it back to you. The off season goes by faster than you think.
So how many events did you run this year?
We ended up running 18 total, 11 national events and 7 regional events.
Wow.
Yeah, busy year.
Yeah.
So yeah, we were on the road an awful lot, and then caught some racetracks that we'd never been before. So that was cool. Had a good time with that.
Yes, I just read earlier today Ray Drew was a big winner.
Yeah. Well, he won his region, I believe.
Yeah,
so,
North region.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, he did good. I won our region last year, but this year I didn't do a region. I think I finished 4th in the region as well. But yeah, we just had our struggles this year. Just not quite as good as we had hoped. But yeah, we're lucky to get to do it at all. We were going to park the car about halfway through the season. It was actually Woodburn race, and because we didn't have any money, and just a gentleman walked up to me, Dan Prevost, and he's the one that got us to continue to do a few more races this year. Without him and his support, Rad Torque Systems is his company. He got on board and got a decal on the side of the car and gave us enough funding to go do a few more races. So we owe it to him that we're in this position at all. So yeah, pretty lucky there. We're going to get to do a few more next year, hopefully, with his help. He's already talking to us about that. So so that's looking bright for us.
So you're looking to do a lot of events next year too?
Yeah, hopefully we'll do. If I can find enough funding, I want to do the whole thing again. Run for the championship. So yeah, we'll do the same amount of events. Most likely will be the plan. If we can get, like I said, if we can get enough money together. It's pretty expensive when you're on the road a lot, just traveling and fuel and flying guys in and out and hotels, all that stuff.
So now, Chris, do you have any opinion on what happened with the Steve Torrance thing on last weekend?
No, not any real strong opinions. We all get emotional and have our mood swings, so to speak. I mean, I don't think there's really any need ever for physical violence as a professional like he is. But like I said, I wasn't there. I wasn't in that moment. To experience whatever words were being exchanged, and we all make our mistakes, I guess. But I don't think that was good at all. Arguably, it's good for NHRA and good for television to try to get some attention out there. Not great for the fact that it shouldn't have happened, but all in all, no, I'm pretty neutral on that. Like I said, I'm not one to judge exactly, just right away and say, he's in the wrong. I mean, it's not good. It's not right to physically attack someone for sure.
Yeah.
But, it is what it is, and what NHRA does with that, that's up to them. I don't have any say in that.
Yeah, I shared the story a few times in a few groups on Facebook, and I got guys are fighting on the comments about it. About the $25,000 fine. Oh, he should have been fined more than that. He won way more than that. He should have been fined. Or one person said he should have been arrested on the spot.
Well, some people feel very strongly about it. That's for sure. I mean, as far as the monetary fine, $25,000. Yeah, I'm sure that's nothing for him. So that's probably not really a big deal. But still, what price do you put on, a violation like that? I wouldn't know. I'm not in that.
Yeah, then he's got to do it anger management.
Yeah.
Then they're talking about John Forth, bringing John Forth's name up on comments and stuff.
Sure.
What happened with him?
Well, John Forth is always a controversy. Always something to talk about with him. But one of the best as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, but it's crazy the way that people were like fighting on my comments on the link I put up saying, one guy's like, I'm going to be at the NHR whatever event next year. You want to say that to my face? They're fighting, man.
Oh, jeez, yeah. Well, that's a little excessive. But, whatever. People are passionate, and I guess apparently if they believe in something strong enough, then, that's how it comes across.
Yeah. So anyway, let's go back to you now. Let's go turn back the clock on you. And how did you get into drag racing, Chris?
Oh, well, I don't really know. I mean, I had a car in high school that I took to the racetrack once or twice, just for fun, and that was cool. But I never really followed drag racing or the history of it necessarily or anything like that. I ran out our local racetrack with my high school car. It was a 70 Chevelle that was all right. Was nothing real special, but anyway, and that was at the Woodburn track, like I said, and then I didn't really do anything like that for a long time. Just worked, started a family, and did normal life stuff. And then I actually got into mud vehicles, like four-wheel drive stuff. Then I started doing mud drags, and kind of got hooked on just competing in that level, just mud racing. But it was fun at the time, and I was pretty passionate about it and had a good time and won a lot of races, won a bunch of plastic trophies. Kind of silly looking back at what you spend to do something like that. Well, I mean, it ain't much different now, honestly, but anyway, so I did the mud racing thing, and then I graduated to sand drags, where I got to go a little faster and a little further. Went from 100 to 200 feet to 300 feet in the sand, and I had a good time with that. Wanted to go faster, so I looked at drag racing, quarter mile stuff. The sand car that I was racing was a 125-inch wheelbase, altered with an altered body on it, had a Fiat Topolino body on it. It was an ex-funny car chassis. And I thought, when I bought it, well, I could run this in sand, and maybe I'll run it over on the asphalt sometime, and see how that goes. So, sure enough, I put that, I took the paddle tires off the back of the thing and put some slicks on it and took it to Woodburn and tried to make it a quarter mile. I let off all the time about half track. Jay Livingston would always give me crap. He says, run it to the end. I go, man, I felt like I was, because I've been racing these short tracks, 300 feet or shorter, and felt like a quarter mile was forever. But anyway, long story short, I had that little Fiat Topolino. It was a blown alcohol big block Chevy, and so I kind of just learned my way around that, and went pretty fast. I entered the Pro Nostalgia organization. That was a fast bracket class, and and I ran and competed in that, and I did really well. Ended up winning the championship in my 4th year, I believe it was, in that organization, and saw an opportunity to go faster. In that class, you could only go 6.0, so anything under that, you couldn't go that fast. And my little altered was going, low sixes all the time, and with the need for speed, I wanted to go quicker and quicker and quicker. And anyhow, I seen these funny cars at the Woodburn race when I was there, and I thought, well, that class looks like you could go as fast as you want, right? These guys are going fast, they're running fives at 250 plus miles an hour, and that's pretty much how it went. I just thought, well, I already got some engine stuff and transmission stuff, and or at least stuff that I thought would work in that funny car. And it turned out it was not any of the right stuff to do it. But I found a alcohol funny car that had been sitting around and had little use over on the East Coast, and had it shipped over, and the rest is history. Put my junk in there and started trying to go down the track. Took me quite a while to make any successful passes, but once I did, I seemed to pick it up fairly quick, and won some races, and once I started going fast, there was really no looking back. We had a pretty breakout year last year, and went real quick and ran good, and that's pretty much it.
So did you license at Woodburn?
Yeah, I got my license at Woodburn. Yeah. It took me 2 or 3 weekends to get enough passes in to get my alcohol funny car license. But we did it eventually.
So how was the first time experience going down the track with an alcohol funny car?
Well, it was pretty wild, but like I said, I had been running that little Fiat Altered, and it was 225, 230 miles an hour, low 6 seconds. So I was somewhat used to those speeds by the time I got into the alcohol funny car. But what I did like about the alcohol funny car was when I started up for you and all that, the body's up and they drop the body down and everything just sounds different, and it was a pretty cool feeling looking through the windshield and all that. Otherwise, it was pretty close to driving, similar. You're going faster, of course, but the handling and all that was similar. So yeah, I took to that pretty easily.
So so now what do you got under the body of that alcohol funny car?
Now I have the newer style Camaro body. It's a 2017 Camaro body. When I first bought the car, it had the older Mustang body. It was a fiberglass body, in fact, and so it was super heavy. Everybody runs carbon fiber, but I got a good deal on the car and chassis, back when I bought it with that fiberglass heavy body on it. And but eventually I was able to round up enough money to get a more competitive, lighter Camaro body. And that's pretty much what everybody runs now is the Camaro body.
Now, what kind of block and all that kind of stuff you got under there?
Well, the engine that I run is a Minor Brothers racing engine, and it is a crossbreed between a traditional Hemi Chrysler type deal and a Chevrolet. So it's a big block Chevrolet bottom end with a hemispherical style cylinder head. It's all, of course, billet aluminum and aftermarket, so to speak, and custom made. Made by a guy in Indiana, and he also has a location in Stockton, California. But yeah, so he kind of took over where the old Arius and Fontana left off and improved the designs, and they're pretty competitive engines, but they're not very common in alcohol funny car racing. Most everyone runs the traditional Chrysler engine, but there's a few guys with the Minor Brothers setup. I like it. I think they run really well. They make good power, and they're easier to service than a traditional Chrysler. And I say that with the idea that when you need to take a piston and rod out, which we do in these cars, you pull 10 nuts, basically, off the 10 head studs and slide the cylinder head off just right from underneath the valve cover, where you don't have to pull the supercharger, so you don't have to pull the fuel lines, all the electrical stuff, the restraints and the intake manifold. You don't have to pull all that, take the blower belt off, all that stuff that these traditional Chryslers have to do in order to get the cylinder heads off. These engines are designed so where you do not have to do that. Just pull it's 10 head studs and basically slide the cylinder head right off, leaving everything in the middle there intact. So it's real easy to service. It takes one less crew guy on your crew, which comes out to money in the long run for me.
So what's the quickest pass you made with the funny car?
My quickest pass when I did that at the time, which was last year, was a 5.36 with a 5. At that time, the world record was a 5.36 with a 1, done by Johnny Lindbergh a couple years prior to mine. So it was a pretty big deal when I did that. It was 4 thousandths off the world record. This year, Sean Bellemere ran quicker. He ran 5:35. So now I'm officially the third quickest alcohol funny car out there. But the 5:36 with a 5 was a great pass. It was 272.78 miles an hour. It was a good run, and that was actually in Pomona, California. Since that weekend, I have yet to have any good runs at. We just left there, and I didn't have any good runs there. I qualified crappy, and then my first round, I didn't get past that bump that's in the right lane, and the car started bouncing around over reds and hurt the motor. I ultimately lost in the first round. Man, I was ahead. I had a good pass going, but anyway, the lane's bumpy over there, and if you hit it wrong, it upsets the car. Ironically, the 5:36 with a 5 I was in the right lane in Pomona, a year and a half ago, and it didn't affect that run. I also ran some low 40s that weekend in that right lane as well. So it can be done. It just isn't. You just got to hit it just right for it all to work. But yeah.
So now, what do you take the funny car out to race? How many crew members do you have?
I have 3 crew members pretty much at all the races. I have an old relative that comes every once in a while. He's not an official crew member, but he's a helper. But my 3 official crew members pretty much go to all the national events and the regional events. Every once in a while, I'll have to rotate a guy in and out. Somebody that can't make it, they got to work. So I've got a few floater crew guys that come in and fill in when needed. But 3 is all I can afford. Some crews, some teams have more crew guys, but getting 3 there is hard enough financially because you'll got to rent rooms and fly them in and all that stuff, and just a lot of cost involved in having a lot of crew guys. So 3 seems to work for me. So
who are your 3 official crew members?
Well, as of last year, we had Don, and then we had Chuck. And who would be my other, for sure, regular, all-the-time guy? Those are my 2 main guys. Let's see. We had Craig. We had a guy, David. Let's see. Yeah. So, we've had a few floaters. Brian, Ronnie. There's, like I said, a few guys that rotate in and out, but those are my solid guys, Don and Chuck, that come to they're able to commit to pretty much every race.
Now, how many sponsors do you have?
Well, my main sponsor is Rad Torque Systems. Then I also have some smaller ones, Boost Performance products. They furnish all my motor oil and lubricants of any type, and they also do some cleaners and things like that. And then I have Davison Auto Parts, which is a local parts store here. They furnish my brake cleaner. They try to take care of my spark plugs, blue towels, random things like that. We have Ridgecrest Homes. They're a smaller one as well, but they're a home builder. And then I've got a Snap-on, a friend of mine that runs a Snap-on truck. And he calls himself Tim the Tool Man, and he helps me out a little bit. And then I've got a small trucking company, Borgie Trucking, and he helps me out as well with fuel for my semi-truck. So, yeah, just some smaller ones like that. But my primary sponsor is the Rad Torque System.
Yeah, I'm sure you're always looking for more.
Well, sure, yeah. These things are expensive to operate, and so we're trying to find help anywhere we can. But, it's a tough market out there. A lot of people need help, so.
Now, in the short time you've been doing drag racing now, have you, do you have any inspirational drivers out there?
No, not really, just because, like I said, I didn't really grow up around the sport. I didn't follow the history of it. I just, kind of just did this because I wanted to go fast. But as far as inspirational drivers, no, not really. I mean, what I do know about John Force, obviously, is he's a legend. He's been around a long time. So if I was going to answer that, I would say John Force because, he obviously also, kind of one of many, but helped revolutionize the sport, and make it what it is today. I believe I have a lot of respect for him to stick with this as long as he has, and I believe he's one of the only ones ever in drag racing to actually make a living doing it. So that's pretty hard to do.
Yeah, he really built that up from the where he came from.
Yeah, right. Yeah, my understanding is, it wasn't necessarily anything handed to him. He really sold himself as a leader and did a good job in getting where he's at and built an empire out of it, and that's pretty impressive.
Now, how about in top funny car racing? Do you have any drivers that you look up to?
Yeah, I mean, you hate to say it to his face, but I would certainly say Sean Bellemere. He is the world champion, but he's also a friend of mine. We chit chat and talk and text each other and give each other crap, but he is one of, if not the best drivers out there. I mean, he's just so calm and cool, in the way he drives, and it makes very, very few mistakes. Very good lever. His reaction times are always on point. And he got a great opportunity getting to be able to drive, for the Bartone car and having Steve Boggs tune it. It's just a deadly combination, Boggs tuning an alcohol funny car with Bartone's budget, and then having Sean come on board has just sealed the deal because, like I said, I believe he's one of the best drivers out there. So that would be my pick. He's really, really good, and he's always the guy that is really tough to beat. There's just no doubt he's got the whole package.
So now, when you're out on the track, do you have any pre-race rituals or superstitions at all?
Just about everything, yeah. Just about everything, and I don't care who you are. Every racer you ask, I think they all have it. All the way down to which shoe I put on first, my gloves, the way we put my helmet on, the little prayer I give behind the cars. I'm checking my gear, my wheelie bar and then parachutes. I mean, yeah, it's pretty drastic. If I do really well in one day, I got my special underwear and socks on, I'm going to wear those into the next day. I mean, just crazy stuff like that. So to say, yeah, I mean, I'm pretty pretty superstitious when it comes to all that stuff. When things are going good, especially, and when things are bad, I'm certainly willing to change it up and go, well, I put my left shoe on first this last round, and that sucks, so I'm going to put my right shoe on first this time, Just silly things, and it's really outrageous because obviously it has nothing to do with the actual performance of the car, but it's one of those things that I do. And from what I understand, a lot of the racers do it, so it's pretty funny, and the things that we pick out to be superstitious about.
Now, how did you come up with Disturbed Racing?
Disturbed is something that has been with me for a while. I had it tattooed on my back, actually, for a long time. It is a stage in my life, actually, where I got all my tattoos. And had I to do it again, I wouldn't have gotten them all. But I was going through, I guess, what I would call a rough stage in my life. And I felt disturbed. I just felt uneasy. Just didn't feel normal. It's hard to explain, but I think the word itself kind of explains it. And I had a mohawk. I lived kind of crazy, and just didn't care much about a lot of things in life at that time. And anyway, so that's kind of where that came from, how it started. It was just a word that I felt. It's just the way I felt. And like I said, I got it tattooed on my back, and it's kind of stuck with me. When I started my Fiat race car was what I also named it, Disturbed Racing, when I started that. And it was kind of a disturbing looking car, so it was very fitting. It was pretty radical looking, a little altered with flames and skulls and some kind of wild paint job on it. And anyway, that's what I stuck with. I teamed up with Alan Mascord, my first major sponsor. He's an older fellow. He tried to talk me out of the Disturbed Racing team name. He thought that was maybe a little bit too much, but it is what it is. It's people kind of seem to gravitate to it. They laugh, they kind of chuckle. Disturbed Racing, that's funny, or fitting, or whatever the case is. So I stand by my reason for keeping it that way, and it fits me, it fits my team, fits my life in general. So,
did you ever listen to the band Disturbed?
Yeah, of course I did. That wasn't the reason for the name, but it's been assumed that it was about that. But it's not necessarily. But I do like the band Disturbed. It's not the music that I exactly listen to, but I do like some of their songs for sure.
All right. So now, what kind of preparation goes into getting ready for a weekend of drag racing for you?
Oh well, there's actually a lot. It starts with the maintenance of the car. Either you did it before, you left the last racetrack, or you got to get it out at the shop at home and do all the maintenance on the engine, whatever that might be. Sometimes we got to cycle in new parts, crankshafts, connecting rods, pistons, etc., valves, valve springs. So it'll start with that. And I guess backing up even before that, there is making sure that you have all the parts. So ordering parts or sending things in for service and or recertification or repair, has to be done, and everything has to be on schedule to make sure that you have the parts available that you need to get everything serviced and make it through the weekend long before you make it to the racetrack. So there's all that. Not to mention booking airfare for the crew and hotels, so that we, rental car possibly, depending on the location. So there's a lot of preparation that goes into, any one race long before you ever get there. Getting my finances in order here at my body shop, making sure that everything is going to be done on time and the customers are happy here. Anyway, yeah, there's quite a bit of things to do.
Now, with all those tracks you go to, do you have any favorite tracks?
Favorite tracks? I probably would say Las Vegas, because I have won the most races there, and I feel like I've had the most solid performances as far as consistency of the car. So I would say Las Vegas. Plus, we race there, twice a year, so we spend quite a bit of time there. when I first went there, the first year, I hated that track. It seemed to be the one that I blew up a lot of engines there. So it was just coincidence, I guess. I don't know, because I don't do that anymore. But, so yeah, I would say Las Vegas was probably my favorite track.
All right, now where do you get all your fire safety equipment from?
Well, I have a mix of things. I've got some stuff from Impact. My helmet is Simpson. I've got some Taylor Motorsports boots. I am having Dennis Taylor make me a new fire suit this year, so I'm looking forward to that. He's got a newer, lightweight material that isn't quite as hot, I guess, in the summertime, is my understanding. So, yeah, I'm going to have him build me a suit that fits me better. And this my old suit I bought when I started, and it's time for recertification or replacement. So now it'll be a good time to have Dennis build me a nice suit.
Now, have you reached any milestones in your drag racing career so far?
Well, I mean, yeah, there's been many milestones. You know, the first one being win a race or win a round, right? That's the first thing. And you know, we won our first round, and that was awesome. Then we won our first race. Of course, that was great. And first race I won was a regional race, and that was huge. I mean, huge. That was a big deal. And then, you know, we won a national event, which was even bigger. Obviously, it was a huge milestone for me. Then there's that run that I talked about earlier, that 5:36 with a 5. You know, almost ran world record. You know, elapsed time, missed it by 4,000ths of a second. That was huge. So, you know, yeah, I got a lot of great memories to look back on. A lot of tough rounds that I won. You know, came out on the right side of it, and you know, I've had a lot of success, and you know, I've had a lot of rough times too. But from what I understand from a lot of these alcohol racers, many of them in my class are generation racers. You know, Bellemere being one of them, and you know, Doug Gordon, you know, some of the greats that, you know, are generation racers, and you know, they've been around, and they tell me all the time, especially when I'm down on myself, when if I did, you know, crappy and didn't do very well, that I've come a long way in a very short amount of time, and you know, I need to keep that perspective, and I appreciate that feedback from those guys. You know, I'm just so competitive, I lose track of that. But anyway, so we managed to have some pretty great milestones, I guess, in what I would consider a short amount of time.
Now, have you had any accidents in your drag racing career?
Yeah. Let's see. Second year. Well, first year I had several, we call them cones, but they're actually foam blocks. I hit quite a few of those with my Mustang body, crossing the center line. I wasn't, you know, a very good driver, I guess, or I had the tune-up wrong. I don't know what the deal was, but it was very difficult to drive at that time. So there's that, but I never hit the wall. Then I got a brand new Camaro body that I talked about, and the very first race I hit the wall. That was in Pomona. So I hit the wall. That sucked. But it was a light crash. It wasn't, you know, major. Just kind of swiped and folded up the header and got the side of the body. But I was pretty devastated, obviously, because of the brand new body that, you know, I got $30,000 into. Plus, then I painted it all nice and custom, and so I was pretty sick about it. But from there, we went on to Arizona, and I crashed it there. I went off the end of the track, didn't have enough brakes to get that thing stopped, and I went off the end of the track across the pea gravel and skidded to a stop out in the cactus, and kind of boogered up the front of the car, you know, because the front lip was down in the rocks, and so anyway, those are they're not crashes per se, but they weren't good.
Right.
I haven't had anything major, you know, no upside down or, you know, directly into a wall hits or anything like that. So I'm fortunate for that. Not for lack of trying. I tend to overdrive the car more times than I should, and you know, I'm lucky at this point that I haven't had any major catastrophes, like Doug Gordon had here a couple
Right.
races ago. I'm not sure if you got to see
Yeah.
that, but that was a pretty bad one. And so, gosh, I sure hope that I never have to go through that.
Yeah, it was great to see that he walked away from that one.
Of course, yeah, it was really great to see that, and it just testament to all the safety gear that NHRA requires. There's a lot of complaints here and there when guys have to send their stuff in and buy new equipment, and it seems like overkill sometimes. But when you see your friend crash like that and get out of the car safely and uninjured, it makes all that stuff worth it. It really does. It's tough to come up with it financially at the time, and it seems like maybe a lot of overkill, but it's not. Most all that stuff is there, because someone already got injured and someone else's misfortune, and it's making the car safer and safer to drive every day. So when I hit the gas on the starting line and do 270 miles an hour, I know, my wife knows, my kids know. I have 3 daughters, and they're watching Dad every time, and they know that I'm safe. And it emphasizes the fact that I am safe in that car even more when you see someone like Doug Gordon have a crash like that, and we've seen many others. DJ Cox has crashed a couple of times, unfortunately, terrible crashes over the last couple of years, and walked away basically unscathed. So there's comfort in that, knowing that you're in a car that is going to protect you.
Yeah, the car can be replaced, but the life can't.
That's right, absolutely.
Well, knock on wood, you'll never have any major accidents.
I hope not. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I hope not as well. From the financial standpoint of it, it would be very devastating for us because we would not be able to continue. We wouldn't be able to build another car and start over. That's just not in the budget for us. This chassis that I'm running now is an old car. It's a 2006 S&W chassis, one of the oldest cars out in a competitive circuit right now. It is by far the oldest car as far as competitive cars go. Most of the guys have cars that are less than 3 years old. Some guys have a new car every year at the competitive level where we're at. So for me, this car is everything. If I were to lose it, it would end basically my racing career for a while, if not forever.
Yeah.
So yeah, I try really hard to take care of it, make sure that I keep it on all 4 wheels.
All right, so I'm going to ask you a few fun questions now before we close out this interview.
Okay.
You have any hobbies outside of drag racing, Chris?
No, not really. Not really. I should, but I really don't. My life is pretty consumed with my body shop and with the race cars. Race cars, my passion, is pretty much all I can think about. So that's what I really like to do. We do for my girls, as I mentioned, I have 3 daughters, and then my lovely wife. We do have a small boat, and we'll take it out to the river or to the lake every once in a while on a weekend where we're not racing, and I spend some family time with the girls. They like to soak up the sun, So as far as another hobby, I guess I could call that one a hobby of sorts, but we only make it out on the water maybe 4 or 5 times a year, so it's not very often.
Now, do your 3 girls like drag racing?
Yeah, they do like drag racing. They don't love it like Dad. I did buy them a junior dragster a couple years ago for them to try to get more involved and run the car. And they did. They ran several weekends, and they had a good time, but they weren't passionate about going, every weekend and doing it for real. So the car ended up setting. Ultimately, I sold it this year, actually. So, but they do follow Dad. One of the races they can't go to, they watch live, obviously, on NHRA.tv. And they're familiar with the ins and outs of it. I can talk the lingo with them. They're very smart. I got a 17-year-old, an 18-year-old, and a 14-year-old. So they're getting to where they're really paying attention and they know what's going on. They like to follow me, and then when they're not with me, and then they do come to as many races as they can. They're still in school, so they can't do a whole lot. But
right.
Yeah.
So what keeps you passionate about drag racing?
Keeps me passionate. Just the competitiveness of it. I like to be the best, I guess. It just about everything I do. It doesn't matter what it is. If it's flying a kite, I want to be the best guy at it. I mean, it's just the simplest thing. I'm kind of overkill on a lot of things. So once I set my mind to something, this happens to be drag racing, I just it's just all I can really think about, and it gets to be a little bit too much. But so I guess what keeps me passionate about it is that I haven't conquered it. And conquer it meaning winning the championship, the world championship. That would be amazing. That's what my goal is. Win races, obviously individually, is my goal, but ultimately, I would like to win the championship, and I don't think it's totally out of the question. If I can just find enough funding to keep doing this with these other guys that have the money, that's what keeps me going. I want to be able to do it. The
quest for the Wally, huh?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. That's what it's all about. Ultimately, spend hundreds of thousands of dollars, some guys millions, to win a silly little trophy.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things that once you're passionate about it, it's just what you do. And I just believe in setting your mind to something that you want to do and doing it 110% all the time, no matter what. I'm not into half-ass efforts of any kind, no matter what it is. So, and drag racing's, no different from it. I just want to be as best as I can be.
That's good. So now, what's been your most embarrassing moment on the track?
My most what?
Most embarrassing moment on the track.
Embarrassing. Embarrassing. Well, I mean, the first thing comes to mind in competition would be red lighting, So it's not embarrassing per se, but it's very frustrating. And I guess it's embarrassing because, you let your team down and everybody following you. You want to win that round. And if you leave the starting line too soon and you red light and it's all over. You have zero chance of winning that round when you red light. So I think that'd probably be up there, as far as number one for me. I'm driving like crap where, you get on the gas one too many times and then go over and hit the wall. Well, that's embarrassing. That's not great either. But, red light start, that comes to mind first for me.
All right, fondest memory.
Fondest memory. My fondest memory would have to be my first national event, Wally. I was in Seattle last year. And yeah, that was a pretty great memory. I got pretty emotional in the interview, up at the end of the track, and that one will stick with me, forever, no doubt about it.
Awesome. Well, Chris, I want to thank you very much for taking time to do this interview.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you for taking time with me.
No problem. You have any final words?
No, I think we covered pretty much everything.
Well, I wish you the best of luck next season.
Thank you.
And you have a happy Thanksgiving.
I will. And you too.
Thank you, sir. You have a great night.
Okay.
We'll do another one in the future.
Okay, sounds good.
Now, save my number in your phone so when I call you,
I will, yeah, I'll do that right now.
All right. You have a great night,
Okay,
Chris.
bud.
Bye-bye.
Okay.